Welcome back, amazing thinkers. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today you'll need a color of a zone, assessment 15 if you completed that with your teacher, and a pencil. So pause here to grab what you need and just hit play when you're ready to continue. Story elements can help us understand a story, and they can also help us recount a story accurately and clearly. What is happening in this text? Let's use the story elements to better understand the story and to be able to describe it to someone else in a recounting. If you had a chance to complete assessment 15 with your classroom teacher, now's a good time to also take that out. Pause here to grab your assessment and just hit play when you're ready to continue. Since you're so observant and you notice so many things, you probably notice that the pictures are a little different, but it's the same story elements. Setting, when and where does it take place? Characters, who is in the story? Problem, what problem does the main character face? And resolution, how does the problem end? We'll use these questions to help us understand the story, and because we understand the story, our recounting will be even stronger. Follow along on your assessment as we review the story elements from A Color of His Own. The setting was outside, and it happened during the spring, the fall, and winter. The characters were a chameleon and an old wise chameleon. The problem was that the chameleon wanted a color of his own, but he kept changing color. The resolution was the chameleon found a friend. They stayed together and they had a color of their own. Now that you've identified all the elements in the story, you're ready to recount the story. These sentence frames that have all of the story elements in the frame can help you with your recounting. The sentence frame uses words that guide our recounting. Words like it started in, and when, then, and finally. And when we use those guiding words and the story elements, we come up with a recounting that is very clear and also very accurate. Since you're such an amazing observer, I'm sure you noticed the check mark in the corner, and you remember what that means. Your classroom teacher will take this opportunity to check in with you. This also gives you an opportunity to show your classroom teacher that you can do a recounting using the sentence frame. I'm going to get you started just by using the first part of the sentence frame, just to give an example, and then I'd like you to keep that going. I want you to practice, and also, if you have an opportunity, record your recounting to share with your classroom teacher. Here we go. It started in the spring on a green leaf. Now it's your turn. Keep the recounting going. Pause to practice and also to record your recounting. Just hit play when you're ready to continue. Now you can flip to the second page of assessment 15 and take a look at the chart that you completed. You did a lot of hard work gathering information from the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the end of the story. We're going to do a little bit of thinking about how the beginning, middle, and end of the story connect to problem and resolution. Let's create something together. Let's build a change chart for A Color of His Own. Where should we put the word problem? At the beginning, middle, or end? point on your screen. Where should we put resolution? Does that happen at the beginning, the middle, or the end of the story? Point on your screen. Now let's dig in a little bit more. When we meet a main character at the beginning of the story, we often find out what the problem is. Let's think a little bit closer about the problem the chameleon had at the beginning of the story. I'd like you to hit the pause button here so you can think or discuss the problem with your learning partner, and just hit play when you're ready to continue. Let's think through these problems together. Since you're such a good observer, you'll probably notice that I'm not using complete sentences as we build our chart. I'm just adding notes. One of the problems was the chameleon wanted a color of his own, and we learned that on page 12. We also learned that he thinks he can stay green if he stays on a leaf. But we know that leaves change colors in the fall, and that's what the chameleon found out on page 14. The leaves changed colors, and so did he. Now I want you to think about the ending of the story, or the resolution where the problem was solved. Pause here to do some thinking on your own or to discuss this with your learning partner, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue. The problem was solved at the end of the story when the two chameleons decided to stay together and to just change colors together. We learned that on pages 23 through 27. And at the very end, we read that they lived happily ever after. Now I want you to think about the middle of the story. This is where the change happens. Change is what often makes resolutions happen. What changed in the middle of the story? Pause here to think about that, or to discuss this with your learning partner, then just hit play when you're ready to continue. The change happened when Chameleon met the older, wiser chameleon, and they made a decision to stay together. We learned that on pages 21 and 22. Remember, when we take notes in a chart, we're not using complete sentences. But when we do a recounting, we can use these notes and we can create complete sentences for our recounting. It's always so much fun to build knowledge with you. I will see you real soon, powerful thinkers.